This is the Sixth Man Show, an Orlando Magic podcast, with your hosts, Luke Sylvia and Jonathan Osborne, covering all things Magic basketball. By fans, for fans. Go Magic! What's going on, Orlando Magic fans? You guys are back with the Sixth Man Show. Today is August 18th, 2022. I am joined tonight by Luke Sylvia. Luke, what's going on?
Hello. Oh,
and
not much.
Sorry, I cut you off there. And
you're
producer Kevin.
you're so excited to announce
so excited
that
to talk
Kevin's
about
on
the
the
schedule.
show.
Kevin, what's up?
Hey guys, glad to be here. My favorite day of the week. It's schedule release day, or favorite day of
The year.
the week also, but also more
And
than
the week.
So, schedule release day is your favorite, even over like the first game of the year or like the home opener. Schedule release day is like the day for you of the NBA calendar.
Okay, now let's slow down here. This is like my favorite day of July and August and September.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. That's fair. All right. Well, like Kevin said, the schedule is out. The schedule came out Wednesday. That's when we are recording this. And we are going to break down the whole schedule. Came out 3 o'clock Eastern today, and our eyes have just been glued to the schedule ever since. We are super excited to talk about it. But before that, Kevin is going to talk to you guys about Patreon.
Oh wow, I didn't know I was going to get a formal introduction. Yeah, all I said was I wanted to read them. But yeah, I'll talk about our Patreon, guys. We do have a Patreon. If you've been living under a rock, maybe never listened to the show. First off, if you're new to the show, welcome to the Sixth Man Show. By the way, I should just say, Jonathan Osborne, Luke Sylvia hosts. I'm producer Kevin. We're glad you're here. We talk about the Magic. It's a lot of fun. As far as Patreon goes, we have 3 tiers. These are the people that help financially support the show and make this thing happen. We've got a lot of really cool things coming for this coming season. None of it would be possible without our patrons. So, as we do in every episode, we're going to read off our Hall of Fame patrons, and they are Court Cousins, Armin, Elite Too Low. Is that right? Yeah. Jonathan Borges, Magic Player History, Wiffle, Michael Salapong, Ryan Singh, The Distract, Pierre A., Dylan Holden, Mr. Mikey, Lil Penny, Drum, Danimal, Dutto15, Bobby Skinner, Nate Donnelly, Gotti93. Thank you guys so much. Thanks to all our patrons. Now, let's get back to the show.
I love that.
Was that Jason Schnacks?
Oh, here we go.
The real ones know. But
Right.
I had to ask.
R.I.P.
You had your announcer
R.I.P.
voice going, so
Gone, but not forgotten. We love Jason
Never.
Schnacks. All right, guys, let's talk about the schedule. It's been a day that everyone has been anticipating, especially, in terms of waiting to see whether or not, the Magic got nationally televised games and how many nationally televised games. So we're going to just kind of talk about the Magic schedule, like the overview of it, and we can get into as much detail as we want there. And then we'll go through like the pros, the good things about the Magic schedule, the not so good things about the Magic schedule. But let's start with the overview. So the schedule starts literally with the start of the season. The first game of the year, the Magic will start the season on the road, opening night for the Magic season, October 19th in Detroit. So Paolo versus Cade, the most 2 recent number 1 overall picks. Then their second game, they're still on the road. They'll be in Atlanta on October 21st. That's going to be Paolo versus DeJounte. So the spicy drama that we've got the last couple of weeks from the Z-Ken Pro-Am and Tacoma, Washington. We're going to see if that is a real beef or whether or not those guys have just kind of swept it under the rug and moved on. So we're excited about that. And then the home opener on October 22nd. Yes, it is the second night of a back-to-back. Saturday, the 22nd, the Magic will be at home to take on Boston of all teams, and that is on a Saturday night. Again, second night of a back-to-back. And then the Magic's first nationally televised game, and I don't even know how long, it is going to be November the 7th at Oklahoma City. It's going to be on TNT.
November 1st.
It's November 1st? I got the date wrong. Thank you. This is why we have 3 people on this podcast. November 1st. Yeah. Yes, fact checking. I posted wrong dates to Twitter. Kevin let me know. I said the wrong date on the podcast. Luke let me know. So here we are. November 1st at OKC. That's going to be on TNT. Are you guys excited that it's on TNT and not ESPN, or would you have preferred one or the other?
I mean, doesn't everybody prefer TNT or no? I mean, Kevin, do you prefer, are you a TNT guy?
100% TNT guy, except the only thing I'm not looking forward to, I'm sure at some point Charles Barkley is going to complain. Why the Magic on? Why are we watching the Magic tonight? You know, I mean, something like that. You know, it's going to happen.
Or just both terrible.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I am excited for that one though. Obviously, you know, number 1, number 2. I wish it was at home. That would have been fun. I think we deserved it, but oh well, it'll still be fun.
Yeah.
You know, the last time.
Go ahead, Luke.
I was just going to add in here real quick, Jonathan, and feel free, guys, to correct me. But the last time the Magic played on TNT specifically, and probably nationally outside of like a playoff game or whatever, was the bubble against the Sixers. So that was the last like TNT appearance. And then I saw, Philip Rossman-Reich of Orlando Magic Daily, Locked On Magic, had done some research as well. Kind of off the top of his head, he was saying, you know, that it might have been the LeBron game when he torched Earl Clark for 51 points. So that could have been one of them. So I think, you know, there's not been very many national televised games. The first month is exciting. October 19th, obviously, like you said, the Pistons. That's also my anniversary. You know, for you, those of you that
so
were
we got the
know.
anniversary countdown. We got Luke's birthday countdown. What else?
And my baby boy is also due October 19th. So there's a lot on October 19th. Anniversary that, the Magic, you know, opening their season against Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey as well. So that'll be a lot of fun.
All right, so Luke, you have to choose October 19th. Are you going on an anniversary date? Are you going to welcome your baby boy into the world? Or are you going to Detroit for opening night?
I'm going to Detroit. No.
I was about to call you a casual. If not, I was about to call you a casual. Your baby's birth? What? Your anniversary? No, we're watching the Magic.
We're watching the Magic in Detroit. Yeah. I hope Detroit, for like the viewing of my eyes, I hope they're wearing the throwbacks opening night, those teal jerseys. That would be very, very nice to see them play against us, open the season with that.
So I know I've talked to you guys about it, and I posted about it on Twitter, but I decided, we've talked about like doing like a road game a year or something like that. And I was like, Atlanta is, other than Miami, I don't want to go to Miami. We've talked about that, but Atlanta is like the next closest team. So I was like, man, it would be really cool to see Paolo's debut in Detroit, but I'm like, it's got to be so much more expensive to fly to Michigan than it is to Atlanta. And now, you know, I kind of get like the drama. See if anything happens. I'm not sure I'm going to wear a Paolo jersey or what I'm going to wear. I'm just hoping that I come back, you know, not beat up from like Hawks fans or whatever. So that'll be pretty fun.
Kev, did you hear that? He said we had decided we were going to go on a road trip a year.
Okay, no.
And then Jonathan decided,
no.
I'm going.
First of all, you both have been to Disney without inviting me. Let's get that out in the open. That is confirmed.
Okay.
Second
now,
of
this
all,
is just holding grudges now.
Yes, absolutely. Second of all, we know the Luke of Birth's baby. The birth of Luke's baby is coming, and I did ask Kevin, and Kevin said maybe. Kevin lives in Atlanta. I have a hotel room with.
What? I don't.
You live in Georgia.
Atlanta?
All right, you live in Georgia.
It's 4 hours away. It's closer to Orlando than it is to
Don't
Atlanta.
Don't get all excited.
Dude.
It was a Freudian slip. It was a mistake.
There was no truth.
Anyways, I have 2 double beds. If either of you would like to join me, you're welcome to join me. Luke, if you're going to fly out, where would you fly out of? Tampa or Orlando? Probably Orlando. Right?
If I do fly out, I mean,
exactly.
I don't,
so
sure.
the door is not closed on this from happening. The invite is open. I wouldn't even ask for money for the hotel. You fly yourself there, you pay your game ticket, you're there with me. So don't make it seem like I'm doing this solo dolo.
No, but you mentioned I have a baby being born.
That is a fact.
And around that time, and you have said there's no way that you're able to go, which is true. But we had just talked about a road trip together, and like it's just the one. Would you go on a second one in the spring?
Absolutely.
Okay. We can reconvene about that then. But I'm just saying.
Are we making Kevin drive 10 hours to Miami?
No, I would fly.
He would
fly. All right. Hey, I don't know.
Wouldn't waste my money flying.
I don't know if I'm driving.
You know what we need to look at, guys? I didn't even realize this. We need to look at when the game in Salt Lake City is.
Yes, that is a good point. We can look into that.
January 13th. So we need to go.
Enough of our bickering now. Which, look, I thought that I had exhausted all of the invitations that I needed to for this Atlanta trip, and that it was obvious that at least for now, I'm the only one for sure going.
That's
So
a fact.
we can certainly revisit this. And the next time that I'm going to Disney, y'all are not invited. I'm going in a couple weekends, and y'all are not invited to Disney. But one day we will go to Disney together, and we'll have to do this once a year. Kevin is dying to go to Salt Lake City, and I didn't understand why until he's like, just look up pictures of Salt Lake City, and it's just a beautiful city in the middle of like a mountainous terrain. So we're looking at that. The All-Star break, is the All-Star game in Utah this year? I think, Kevin, did you mention that at one point, or am I misremembering?
I
think it is.
All right. Well,
I think I read like notable things, and I'm pretty sure that it is Salt Lake, but could be wrong. But I'm pretty sure that sounds right.
Somebody else, I was listening to something recently, and they were talking about how Donovan Mitchell is probably going to go crazy this year at the All-Star game, like as it is tradition in your hometown.
It is in Salt Lake City.
Okay, perfect. All right. Let's get back to the schedule. So just kind of looking at everything. So the Magic, the longest homestand that they have is a 14-day, 7-game homestand, which they have no back-to-backs during. That is going to span November 3rd to November 16th. Their longest road trip is a 9-day, 5-game road trip spanning from January 7th to January 15th. The final game of the season is going to be in Miami on April 9th. The Magic are 22nd in the league in terms of rest favorability, with having 17 games where they have a rest advantage. This is something that we saw on Twitter or Reddit today that I haven't been able to confirm, but there's some opinion that the Magic are tied for third in the league in terms of least rest disadvantage games. So those, we're talking about games where they have the advantage and games where they have a disadvantage. But my question for that individual would be whether or not they were accounting for games where we have 3 games in 4 nights, three games in 4 nights, where that fourth night is our second night of a back-to-back, and then like the 5 and 7 games. So we could technically both have one day off before that game, but especially if it's a 3 and 4 and your opponent isn't playing the 3rd and 4th, or your opponent isn't playing the 5th and 7th, to me, that's still a rest disadvantage. I don't know about you guys. Because if we look at that, the Magic have 24 games where they're at a rest disadvantage, and I would be surprised to learn that 24 games where you have a disadvantage is good for third in the league. That would be kind of surprising to me.
Yeah, it would be hard for me to answer that without looking at everyone else's schedules and kind of seeing how that's measured at least, and seeing where we compare to that. But maybe I'll have to do a little homework. But yeah, it's definitely interesting. There are definitely plenty, like if you're looking through the schedule, there are definitely plenty where we are advantaged, as far as, our opponent goes, which is great. I remember last year, those were hard to find in our schedule. Like there were a lot of times where we were several times where we were back to back or 3 and 4, and the other team had 3 days off. Like that happened several times last season. I don't really see that a ton this season, which is good. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that compares, I guess, to the rest of the league.
Yeah, so 17 games with an advantage, 24 with a disadvantage. That's what, half the year? And then like the other 41 games, it's basically equal rest. So, I mean, 17 and 24 is like a little bit imbalanced, I guess, but they're having to do this schedule for 30 teams. The fact that it gets done at all is pretty impressive, but I think they did probably as good of a job as they could have. Before we get into like the specific like good things about the schedule and necessarily like bad things about the schedule, were there any other like tidbits that kind of stuck out to you guys?
Just the fact that there's a lot, we don't have to get into the details of this, but just know there is a lot more rest and times where the team isn't having to travel, whereas in the past they were having to. I'll read maybe one thing, which was the NBA put it out today. I think it was the PR team, basically, that estimated travel has been reduced to 41,000 miles per team, which is a record low in the era with 30 teams and 82 games per team. So the NBA is doing their best to eliminate certain things. We've kind of seen it, implemented, where a team will play basically back to back in the same city, which is kind of nice, and especially travel wise for the team. So I think that's one piece of information which is important. I think that, players will probably appreciate that rest that they're able to get.
Yeah, the Magic have a few of those, whether it's in like another city or if it's at home. I know we have one, I think, in Philadelphia, and then I think there's one like at home for us where it's Toronto.
Toronto,
right?
Yeah, Toronto in December.
We do one in Indiana as well. home to Toronto. Boston's another one on the road. And then the Philly one's on the road. Yep. So there's a couple of them like that. Oh, and Cleveland at the very end. I knew there's one more. Cleveland, the very end of the season, we do it at home as well. So there's a handful of them. It's interesting.
I think for the most part, we've also eliminated like the home and away series. Just trying to look through the schedule here. I don't see anything like that, which it's kind of cool because it's like, oh, you get one here and then, the next one, the other team gets. But I think they've cut down on that for the most part, which I think is really a good thing because, like you said, it eliminates the travel because you play a game, you're traveling one day and then you play the same team again. Just like have them both at home or both on the road, eliminate, some of that travel. But I was looking at the NBA map the other day. Like I didn't realize how far Portland is from like every other team. Like they've got to be up there for like traveling the most because they are just so far away from the closest team.
Yep, they usually are up there pretty high.
So let's talk about like kind of some of the good things about the schedule. So, I mean, I'll start with, the 7-game homestand, pretty early in the season that spans from 11-3 through 11-16. That's Golden State, Sacramento, Houston, Dallas, Phoenix, Charlotte, and then Minnesota. And the biggest thing for me on that is across that, like, what is that, 14 days? They're going to be home for 2 weeks. There's no back-to-backs on that.
Yeah.
Kind of tough starting off with Golden State, but 7-game homestand. I don't remember the last time we had a homestand that long.
Yeah, I was going to say it's sometimes you get these homestands and they're brutal. Like the opponents, I remember a couple of homestands last year, it was just all the top, teams in the league. This one is a mixed bag, right? Like you said, Golden State, but then you get Sacramento and Houston, potentially 2 of the lower level Western Conference teams. Then you get Dallas and Phoenix, but then you get Charlotte, potentially winnable game, and then Minnesota. Obviously, they've really strengthened, this offseason with Rudy Gobert. So a little bit of a mixed bag. 4 really tough teams, 3 potentially winnable games. Another this is just the weird stuff that I look at when I look at schedules. On November 7th against Houston, that game is scheduled to start at 7:15. It's a home game. I don't remember ever seeing a home game scheduled to start at 7:15. There has to be some reason for it. I don't know what it is. I'm going to find it though, because every other game is, usually 7 o'clock, obviously. So that was weird.
Yeah, I wonder what we can look at it. We've got it all here. I wonder what the because you don't play the day before, and 2 days before that is Sacramento at 5 o'clock, which I'm assuming is probably a Sunday. But yeah, that's pretty strange. Obviously, we don't want to make this about like the Oklahoma City Thunder, but did you guys see that Chet's first 3 games are going to be against Cat and Rudy, then Jokic, and then Cat and Rudy again? Like, what a way to start your NBA career.
I did not see that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We'll see. We'll see if he's the best player in the NBA, huh?
He did say that. Is 2 months from whenever that interview was, puts him best NBA player. So we'll kind of see what happens. But the Magic also have a 5-game homestand. They have a 4-game homestand, and then they have 3 3-game homestands. So obviously everybody gets 41. But and I'm sure
that 5-game homestand is not fun.
Yeah, let's talk about that. I mean,
I'm sure I'll make it out to one of those games, but the issue is a lot of people do this. Obviously, if there's like you're playing against good teams, like, oh, which team am I going to see play against the Magic tonight? Like, I want to go see a star play. Well, good news, guys. You've got a lot of things to choose from in this 5-game homestand. Do you want to see Giannis play? Do you want to see PG Kawhi play? Do you want to see, Franz and Jalen versus Scotty Barnes? And do you want to see DeJounte Murray and Trae Young play? That's your 5-game homestand.
We're calling DeJounte a star. Is that what we're doing?
I mean,
he was an all-star. He was an all-star. We shouldn't get into this too deeply here.
And let's be honest, the Clippers game, Kawhi or Paul George, one of them's going to be hurt, maybe both.
Or both.
That's just
or resting.
Potentially.
Or resting.
Yeah.
Yeah, load management king, Kawhi Leonard. Yeah.
That's right.
So like Luke mentioned, it's Milwaukee, Clippers, Toronto, Atlanta. Milwaukee, both teams are going to be playing their 3rd game in 4 nights. Atlanta, the Magic will have 2 days rest, and Atlanta will be playing their 3rd and 4 nights. So the Magic have a strong rest advantage in that game at least.
Yeah, that whole stretch, that late November, early December, is just brutal. You know,
Yeah.
Philly, Brooklyn, Atlanta, Cleveland, Toronto, Milwaukee, Clippers, Toronto, Atlanta, Boston, and Atlanta. Like,
So
holy smokes.
I was saving that really for the cons list, but like we can definitely talk about it. No, it's fine. So it starts November 9th, like in my opinion. So it's November 9th through December 19th. So it's a 19-game stretch. 17 of those 19 are teams that made the postseason last year. So at least played like in the play-in, and one of those teams that made the play-in is the Clippers. We know they're going to be a lot better this year. Only Indiana did not, which we play them twice in a row on the 19th and the 21st of November. So last year it was November and December, and this year it's mostly November, and then half of December is just absolutely brutal.
That's not fun.
Nah, it's terrible. But
A lot of this early schedule is not fun, aside from getting a televised game on TNT.
I mean, like, at least you have the 7-game homestand that, I mean, Kevin and I were talking a little bit earlier, like the first, you know, what is it, 8 or 9 games before that, you know, you've got some favorable matchups in there. So we're talking about Detroit, Atlanta, Boston, New York, Cleveland, Charlotte, Dallas, Oklahoma City, and then you're right into that homestand. So there's a chance the Magic could go potentially 500 into that first homestand, and then 7-game homestand. If you win 3 or 4 of those, you could be hanging just around 500 about 15, 16 games into the season. If you asked us that yesterday, like, 16 games, the Magic might be 7-9 or 6-10, I think we'd all take that.
Yeah, I mean, there's some fans who might not, but because they might have some maybe unrealistic expectations. But it doesn't sound awesome when you say that, to be honest, because we want to think that this team will be better than that. But on the other hand, I'm like, oh no, it's true. I'd be okay with it. I wouldn't be happy about it, but I'd be content with that start, unfortunately. But is what it is. And then you just got to enjoy those 7 games at home, I guess.
The more I think about it, the less 6-10 sounds good, and like 7-9 after like the first 16, I'd be good with that.
Yep,
7-9, yeah,
100%.
Well, because you're starting that, obviously from October 19th through November 1st, you're basically 2 on the road, 1 home. You're doing that the entire time until you get to that homestand. So that's just not. This is a young team, and at some point you have to think about how much is that road trip like that's an adversity, and really that's adversity that they're going to be facing in the first few games there, playing on the road that much before you get to the home. I'm sure playing at home will probably feel the best that it will feel all season to them in that homestand, just because they will have been on the road so often, so early. I'm just hoping that they're not taking too many L's to really shake confidence or break chemistry.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely going to feet to the fire like to start the season. I mean, we've talked about the 7-game homestand, the 5-game homestand. Then you have a 3-game homestand from December 30th to January 5th, which is Washington, Oklahoma City, and Memphis. Washington and Memphis, both teams will have equal rest. And then OKC, Orlando will have 3 days rest. Oklahoma City is going to be playing their second game of a back-to-back. To me, that is a scheduled win. The Magic should beat the Oklahoma City Thunder that night.
Absolutely agree. 100%.
What point in the season is that? What's the date?
January 4th.
Yeah.
OKC might be tanking by then. So there's that. That might be a very scheduled win, more than we realize.
Yeah, that's funny.
And then another 3-game homestand from February 7th through February the 11th, New York, Denver, Miami. New York's, it's going to be their 3rd and 4th nights. Denver will be equal rest. And then Miami, it's going to be their 3rd and 4th night. And they're coming off of a back-to-back that night. So we talk about first 2 games on the road, Detroit and Atlanta. 6 of the first 8 are on the road. Also, Detroit, Atlanta, New York Knicks, Cleveland, Dallas, Oklahoma City. First half of the season, 22 of 41 are at home versus 19 away, and then it just reverses. Pretty balanced,
right,
in terms of like the way that they made the schedule. And we've talked about that trip, 11-9 through 12-19. In the middle of that, you've got a 3-game road trip. You also have like a 5-game road trip, like kind of at the end of that, which is the first kind of West Coast road trip for the Magic. The good news about the West Coast road trip is this year, the Golden State game, I think, is on like a Saturday. So we don't have to worry about work the next day. And I think only 5 of the West Coast games this year start like on a school night, essentially, like starting at 9 or later. So we've got that going for us as well. I know Kevin particularly, like as soon as we looked at the schedule, he was just finding like flaw after flaw after flaw with the schedule. Kevin, like, give us your thoughts on the schedule overall.
Yeah, so I said I'm always excited for schedule release day, and I am, but this schedule I'm not happy with. Like, there's not any stretches where I go, oh yay. Obviously right off the bat, we haven't really talked about the home opener. First off, I mean, we mentioned it's a back-to-back and the third game of the year, but it's against Boston. Like, as if you've been to an Orlando Magic game against Boston or New York or Miami or whoever, you just know what that atmosphere is like, and it's not very fun. So maybe we just need to start a campaign. I was trying to come up with some quick pun about blue, but we need the Amway Center to be full of blue and white on that day, for Paolo's debut at home as opposed to green. So maybe we'll come up with something. But anyway,
but that could be the silver lining though, right? Like Paolo, maybe the fans show out and you're not as drowned by Boston fans, or maybe not drowned out at all, because even the casual fans for Orlando will want to come see Paolo.
It's true.
So I hope that's the case. We do not want more green than blue and white in the stands. I'd rather not.
Yeah, some of the other things, I mean, we already mentioned the 6 and 8 on the road to start the season. Like, that stinks. Luckily, some of those games are super winnable, like we've talked about. The homestand, we've already talked about, it's kind of split. I also wish it was a little bit later. I know some people like it to be earlier because you can get more practice time in, and I get all that. Maybe that's okay. All right, but then rest of the season, some other things that I don't really like. We just started talking about that first West Coast trip, the 5-game trip. I feel like every year we end in Denver. Like, that is literally the hardest part of that road trip is playing at altitude. And it's always at the end of the trip. Like, when you're already exhausted.
Beat us while we're down.
Do what?
I said, beat us while we're down.
Yeah, exactly. It's like we're already, I mean, that's a tough trip too. Golden State, Sacramento, Portland, Utah, and then Denver. Like, that's brutal. I always wish we could start in Denver. But then, my other thing, this is stupid. Like, freaking NBA. You should get to start the season at home or end the season at home. Like, if the first game of the season is at home, then your last game of the season should be at home. This whole thing, the opening game of the season and the last game of the season on the road, that's stupid. Should never be like that. That's broken. So yeah, we end the season with 2 more road games. So we start with 2 road games, end with 2 road games. That's dumb. Brooklyn and Miami to close it out. I was looking at, some other things, I guess, like just, I don't know. I'm also upset about the OKC game not being at home. I think we got the number 1 pick. We should be at home for that. I don't know. Some of these like little East Coast things are a little weird. Like, oh yeah, we play our 4-game road trip in beginning of February, Philly, and then you go up to Minnesota and then back to Charlotte. Like, what is that road trip? Like, that's so broken. I don't know. I just wasn't as pleased with this as I'd hoped. I was hoping there would be some really cool stretches. I don't really see a lot. I'm more pessimistic today than I was 7 hours ago.
Can I ask you, Kevin, what is your picture-perfect schedule? Like, if these, X, Y, and Z happened, then it doesn't matter what else the schedule says. Like, this is Kevin's dream. Since this is the Kevin, it feels like it's Kevin Tucker holiday with the schedule release. That's what it is. It's Kevin Tucker holiday. What would make the perfect Kevin Tucker holiday?
It is. This is my favorite holiday of this quarter of the year. I want
Luke's birthday's in a few days, right?
Nope. Didn't know that.
I haven't mentioned it at all, but my birthday's actually before Luke's. I haven't had a whole countdown, but it's coming up.
Wow. I want a home opener. I'd also love the last game of the season to be at home. One or the other. That's my dream. We should definitely have one of those. We don't. I hate the 6 and 8 on the road to start, so I'd want a little more balance there. But what I really look for is like these stretches of like 4 straight winnable games somewhere a couple times a year. And do we even have that anywhere? I don't see it.
No.
Like, And I know like the NBA is hard. Most teams are better than Orlando right now. So obviously what is winnable is relative to every team, right? But even for a team like Orlando, in the past, sometimes there have been a handful of games in a row where it's like, I could see us winning 4 in a row. Not to say that we won't go on a 4-game win streak. We will. Like, that's going to happen. You know, it's the NBA.
We didn't last year.
Night. It's going to happen this year, Jonathan.
I hope so.
But, you know, it's just one of those things. Like, there's just not a ton of things, you know, consecutive games where like, oh yeah, we could definitely, you know, I think 3-1's totally doable. So that's the kind of stuff I'm just like,
Okay, so a couple of silver linings. So like last year, like Denver, I think it was like a 7-game road trip, and it was right before the All-Star break. I think we played Denver and then came home to play Atlanta, and then like, yeah. So that was really rough. But at least with Denver, so the game before, so we have 2 days off before we play the Jazz, and then we have a day off, and then we play Denver. With Oklahoma City, like I'm sure like it mostly just came down to like a scheduling thing. But like the game is earlier in the year. We talked about this earlier today. Like if the national televised game is against OKC, it better be early in the year. Because like we've said, there's a chance that Oklahoma City might just purposely tank the season away again. And we just might not be good in the later half of the season. So at that point, the one nationally televised game that we had would probably be flexed. I mean, so that is the 9th or the 8th game of the season. Even if we start 0-7, they're not going to flex us out of that game. I'm going to knock on wood that we're not going to start 0-7, but even if that is the case, we should be locked into that game. And one of the cons that I had on my list was no real schedule let up. Like we had the brutal stretch last year in November and December, but at least like the last few weeks of the season, looking at it here, we had like a couple of Detroit games, Charlotte, Washington were kind of mixed in there. Those aren't exactly like easy games, but you had some Houston games in there. You had Sacramento, Oklahoma City a couple of times. So, you know, it wasn't just like world beaters all, you know, the entire season. And this just feels like we don't really get a solid stretch like that where we're going to be playing against teams that are not in the playoffs. It's like, oh, you're going to have a game against like the San Antonio Spurs, but then you're going to play the Lakers like the very next game. Oh, you play, you know, I guess like this is a small stretch here. Pistons, Washington, Oklahoma City. But then you've got Memphis and Golden State. So
that was gonna be my next point, and you just happened to like gravitate toward it. That's my next point. I found the possible 4-game win streak. It is that one where it's Spurs, Lakers, Pistons, Wizards. Solely because we don't know what the Lakers are going to be like.
Right.
Really. Thought they'd be okay last year. I've looked at their roster, and it is one of the worst things ever constructed. So if there is a stretch that is logical, now what will probably happen is there will be just a 4-game win streak that is completely illogical. That does happen because, Kevin, like you said, it is the NBA. But if there's a logical stretch, I feel good about that stretch where it is those teams. Spurs, Lakers, Pistons, Wizards, Thunder, and then you play the Grizzlies. You're both coming off a back-to-back. We'll see how that goes. But
we've got the Rockets before that, right before that. But it is 3 games, our 3rd game in 4 nights, so that's kind of difficult.
Yeah, but we are at a decent advantage with some of these other games, though. Like the Spurs will be coming off a back-to-back. We'll have a 1-day rest. Lakers, 3+. We'll have 3+ rest. They have 1. We have a back-to-back. Detroit, whatever, they have 1-day rest. But then Wizards and us both have 3 and 4. Oklahoma City, we have 3+ days of rest. Oklahoma City's coming off a back-to-back. I think there's your 4-game stretch right there.
Yeah, I also wanted to point out one thing I mentioned to you guys before the schedule came out. I mentioned something to look out for, keep an eye on. The second half of the season, I could see us getting scheduled on national televised days with the idea that the NBA is like, I don't know what to expect with this team. I don't know what to expect with Palette. We're going to schedule them on some of those days in case we give us the option to flex us in. And you see that. Like December 27th against the Lakers is probably a little too early for that. But looking in January, Thursday is when we play Memphis. We play Memphis at 7 on a Thursday. The next week is Portland on a Tuesday. But then, Utah's on a Friday. That's an ESPN day. But really, it's those Tuesday, Thursdays that are the ones that like you really should look out for. We play the Knicks on a Tuesday. We play Denver on a Thursday. Toronto, they probably won't do. Detroit, they won't do. Milwaukee would play on a Tuesday. Utah would play on a Thursday again. Phoenix would play on a Thursday. San Antonio's on a Tuesday. So there's several. Memphis again is on a Tuesday. So there's several of those like in the second half of the season where I'm like, I think they did that on purpose. I genuinely do, just in case Paolo's like killing it and he's super fun to watch, or maybe the Magic are okay. I think some of those games could be flexed into TNT, but obviously the Magic have to be halfway decent for that to happen.
I think if the Magic are like just under, or they're at like 500 and Paolo's averaging like 20 plus a game, I think you're in prime position to get flexed, to be put on national television. I don't want to sound like a biased homer, but if you're listening to this right now, you are too. So you won't mind me saying that, to where, it is somewhat realistic. Like both of those things, Paolo's going to get his. If the Magic can really find their groove in something like that 7-game homestand, if they can get some key wins here and there, who knows what it does for confidence, and then you just keep going. So I'm going to remain optimistic, before we get into the prime of the season where I become more pessimistic naturally. But
well, the other point about potentially flexing, Kevin, like you pointed out, Friday is like ESPN's night. We have 17 Friday night games, more than any other weekday this season. So I think there is something to that point that the NBA made this in a way that the Magic could potentially be flexed into more, nationally televised games. And speaking to that point, so obviously we have like the game on November 1st that's going to be on TNT, but our first nationally televised game, I'm doing air quotes if you're not watching on YouTube, but we're on NBA TV Monday, October 4th at New York. And then Thursday, March 16th, we're on NBA TV at Phoenix. And then Thursday, March 23rd, when we're at home versus the Knicks, we're on NBA TV again. So
bing bong.
So that helps a little bit. But I don't think it's like normal for games to get flexed from NBA TV to like TNT or anything like that. I know a couple of those games, have the potential for that. There, two of those are Thursdays, the March 16th and the March 23rd. So, how do you guys feel though? Like, do you think that will end up happening? Do you think we get flexed at least another game, or most likely not?
It depends on what you think this team does.
Well, how do you feel? I mean, Kevin kind of alluded to it, that he's more pessimistic now than he was, 7.5 hours ago. Now seeing the schedule, how do you feel, Luke? Do you feel differently about the team now in the season?
I think it is. I think it's all about setting the tone, and I just think that first month puts them at a disadvantage. I think like I said, for a young team to do that, they are making up for it with the 7-game homestand, but you just got to hope this team isn't beaten and battered and bruised at that point. Now, given what we know about this team and the chemistry, and also not just chemistry, like we preach chemistry all the time about this team, and that's like the one shining great thing about this young core. But the other thing is this team doesn't stop. This team doesn't relent. They stay in games that you don't think they have any business being in. So if there's a group of guys that's going to rally, it's going to be, these guys. I think that it is possible. You really got to catch lightning in a bottle, honestly, to answer your question about, do I think that, the Magic are in a position to get flexed later in the year? The schedule doesn't help in a lot of ways. Now, granted, I'm sure we could sit down and look at every NBA team's schedule, put on, their team's colored glasses and say, oh man, we really got screwed here. Like, it is very easy to talk about like where we get screwed, just because we are Magic fans looking at just the Magic schedule. Who knows really what the other teams are undergoing in terms of adversity and scheduling being against them. I really don't know. So I don't know that I can give a firm answer about like, would I be shocked to see it, just because of what we have undergone as a fan base. I'm going to say the Magic don't get flexed.
I want to ask you guys a question here, okay? Hypothetical. You can only go to one home game this season. Now, disregard children being born, disregard work schedules, anniversaries, birthdays, whatever. You can only go to one home game this season. Which one do you choose, Jonathan?
For me, it's the home opener, because I think this is going to be my ninth home opener in a row. Like it's just a tradition. My wife and I, we go to every one, and it's like the first one. It's the first one of the year. There's always like a different air in the building. It's always exciting.
Right. That's cool. Let's hear your next one because that's an easy answer. I want you to find something in the schedule for me. Luke, do you have an answer?
Yeah, you go ahead because I got to think.
I'm gonna say honestly, I'm gonna go toward the beginning of the schedule as well, but I'm gonna go our second home game, Charlotte. I like LaMelo Ball in terms of just like the opposing team, but also like they are who I want the Magic to be. Like just kind of tracking. I mentioned this a few episodes ago. Like the Hornets were a fun team
a couple months ago. You mean because they're not doing so hot right now.
Oh yeah, of course. But the Magic were the comparison I made was like the Hornets were a fun team before they were a good team, before they were a respected team, and that they were the respected team last year. Now I'm hoping that this year the Magic can be fun, and then be good as well, like the following year. So I'm interested. LaMelo obviously had some great highlights against Orlando last year as well. I would love for Paolo to put up some highlights there against Charlotte. Now, if you ask me this maybe a week from now, when I've really more so looked at who the Magic are playing, like individually, and not looked at it in like groupings, it might be a different answer, and I could probably find a better answer for you. But honestly, I just think that LaMelo's a lot of fun. Paolo's going to be a lot of fun along with the rest of this team, and it's the first. Like, honestly, that home game against Boston, I don't have high hopes. So I'm hoping that, that Charlotte game just feels more, to me, it feels way more winnable. And I think that could be the Magic's first win at home, and Paolo could show out. So I think Charlotte for me. Kev, what about you?
So the basketball fan in me, I still haven't seen Steph play. I was supposed to see him last year, and then of course he was injured. But from a Magic perspective, I'm going to say probably the Oklahoma City game in January, Chet versus Paolo. But also, if I could, cheat a little bit, the next day is the only home back-to-back I think we have all season is against Memphis. So I think I'm going to go to Orlando, hit Chet and Ja back-to-back days. That sounds like a blast. Sick.
Yeah, seeing Ja in person, that's definitely like bucket list. For me, I would say Dallas, just because I haven't seen Luka in person yet, and he just apart from like the foul merchant kind of stuff that he does, obviously he's very fun to watch. So I would say Luka, but I do love that idea of that home and home kind of back to back to start January. I like that a lot, actually.
I can't wait till it's the day, Jonathan and Kevin, that we don't, and I alluded to this earlier, that we don't have to like base like which game we want to go to off of, I want to see this guy play. And it's just something that like we've gotten so accustomed to, but I can't wait till it gets to the point where there's there's just a heated rivalry, or, this team got the best of us last season, but we believe we're just as good, if not better than them. Like I want it to be that, we want to go to these games because of the Magic and then the history with that team. I'm ready for that tide to turn, and I hope that it does. But for now, it is that case. Like, never seen this player before, never seen this player, because they are incredible. And these are guys that like just are setting the bar in the NBA in general for talent in the eras to come. But I can't wait until the Magic are just established and we're able to really base it off different things.
If the Oklahoma City game, like the first one of the year, was at home, like the TNT game, for me, it would easily be that.
Oh,
super excited. Yeah. I'm also excited for like Houston, what is that? Like the third game in that 7-game homestand, November 7th, which is the 7:15 kind of weird start. That's going to be fun just because like we all thought we were getting, Jabari, and Houston thought they were getting Paolo, and, kind of seeing those guys kind of square off will be really fun. Is there any of the other rookies that you're like super excited to see Paolo go against? Because outside of those two guys, I'm not like super excited. Like Jaden Ivey, I'm like, Keegan Murray, I'm like,
I was gonna say Keegan Murray.
Okay,
I love Keegan Murray. I think that'd be fun.
Especially a little rematch of the crazy summer league game that they had.
Greatest summer league game of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How involved do you think Keegan Murray is going to be in Sacramento, like behind De'Aaron and Demonis?
I mean, he's able to really. I think he's able to just step into a role.
Yeah,
he's a guy that is able to do that. I don't think he's going to be a star by any means in terms of his first couple seasons. I don't know. I think you'll just get kind of flashes, like a flash in a pan type of situation in games where he rattles off, back to back to back 3-pointers and a big time and crunch time to win a game for Sacramento. So I think he can play a role, but I also just don't know if he can really propel himself to the top, especially as a rookie. That's hard to do already, but they've got talent. They've got some talented pieces, and so I think it's going to be hard for him to do, but I think that if there's any rookie that can just kind of fit in a role and stay in his lane, I think it's going to be Keegan Murray. I think he's going to hit the open shots. He's going to defend. I think he'll be pretty good this year.
Yeah, and I'd also just say, also don't forget that he shares the exact same space as Harrison Barnes. They're literally the exact same size too, and so that'll be interesting. But yeah, I think he's a pretty efficient player. I think he will be an efficient player, and so whatever that role is. But regardless, I was saying I liked him in college, and obviously summer league was a lot of fun. But yeah, I think he'll be good.
I think he's going to be really good in the league. I would just be surprised if he has like numbers wise like a really stellar rookie season. I think
his efficiencies could be solid.
I don't think he'll have as good of a rookie season as Franz, but I think it will be kind of understated in the same way by people that don't watch him play. Like you'll look at the numbers and be like, oh, he was good, but it wasn't really that impressive. And Kings fans will be like, no, if you watch the game, like this kid is really good. And we saw a lot of that in summer league.
To my point about efficiency, he shot just under 5 threes a game in college and was a 39.8% 3-point shooter. So I think that's really where that comes in. Like he's going to hit those open threes and he's going to do what's asked of him. I just feel like he's going to be a real big, like, yes sir, no sir type of player, and will just do what is asked of him. So I think he'll be solid. I think that he'll shine the most in his efficiencies, though.
Talking about our little in-state rivalry, with the Miami Heat, a couple of times this season we're going to catch them on like the third game in 4 nights. So I know the homestand that we have from February 7th to the 11th, that's going to be Miami's third and fourth night, and they're going to be on a back-to-back. And then the last game of the season when we play them, it'll be both teams, third game in 4 nights. So.
It's a little weird we're not playing them until late.
Yeah, the first time that we play them looks like January 27th.
January 27th.
Good grief.
Yeah,
that's strange. I'm so used to opening the season against them.
I saw, I think I saw something earlier today. Again, people feel free, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty positive that I saw the Magic will have seen 28 teams, all 28 at least once before they even see the Miami Heat. So really weird considering that like we opened seasons with them and now the league's just kind of like, you guys got your share. You guys got your fill, which is like, yeah, we did. Thank you for that. And so we'll see Miami in January, February, March, and April.
We will have played Boston 4 times before we play Miami once.
That's kind of wild, yeah.
I feel like there was something similar last season where we were just playing the Celtics like all the time at one point.
Yep.
Like around, I think our last game was might have been Jaylen Brown's, like when he dropped 50 on us. But yeah, I'm gonna pull up the schedule now. It just felt like we
I just
played
pretend
them
like that game didn't happen. By the way.
Well, yeah. Unfortunately, it's kind of burned into my memory.
I saw someone the other day talking about the opener against Detroit, and they were like, man, I wonder if Sadiq Bey is going to have another great game against the Magic. He really likes playing them. It's like, dude, shut your mouth. Yeah.
We also play Atlanta all 4 times.
You know who it was? I think Miami. It might have been New York because we played them so many times to start the season last year. Maybe it was New York and not Boston.
But the double bing bong, yeah.
Those were good times. Yeah, when we recorded with Pierre, he was like, I'm happy for the Magic, whoever they're playing, like unless it's against the Knicks. He's like, because you guys really took us to town last year and we hit him with the old bing bong.
Well, now you got to tell everybody about our Monday
Well, we're
show.
definitely going to tell everyone. I was going to wait to the end, but I wanted to put that little snippet and then be like, Pierre, what do they mean by Pierre? So, yeah, Pierre, known as Pee Wee to Plug from Through the Wire, the House of Highlights podcast that he does with his cousin. I didn't know it was his cousin until recently. Kenny Beecham, King of the Fourth Quarter. And then we have another episode coming out. You guys listen to this on Thursday. You'll have another kind of like a bonus episode coming out on Friday with RJ Hampton. We got to sit down with RJ Hampton. We recorded 3 pods tonight. We were like hoping and praying to the basketball gods that we were going to get the schedule today. That way we could have all of these podcasts, coming out. Because I'm going on vacation. My wife and I, our 10-year anniversary is coming up in October.
I was going to say, is it for your birthday?
It is not for my birthday. No, it is not. Our anniversary isn't until October, but she just wanted to do something like now. So we're doing that. So I'll be
When's your anniversary in October? What day?
oh gosh.
October 19th.
No, it's well, we started dating in October. I don't remember the date, but like our official dating anniversary is December 5th. That's like our official. Look, I don't want to get into my wife and I's drama.
On.
There was like, we're together, we're not together. Like,
were you on a break?
We weren't. No, we were not on a. Well,
wait, is this your marriage anniversary or what is this?
No, it's our dating anniversary. Our dating anniversary,
okay.
10 years. So
when Luke asked you the question, you were like, I was like, oh,
no. Our wedding anniversary is March 9th of 2017.
Okay.
Oh,
so
good job.
You said October and it threw me off.
Sorry,
clearly
we didn't
in
do anything
October.
for our 5-year anniversary, like our wedding anniversary. So she wants to do something for like our 10-year dating anniversary, which isn't until October. But she's like, I just want to go on a cruise now. And I'm like, all right, we'll go on a cruise.
Well, she knew Magic season was coming, so she's got her priorities in line.
That's probably a good point as well. So, but yeah, a couple exciting episodes coming for you guys. You'll see that Luke and I are wearing the same clothes in each of these. We don't wear these just every day. It's because we just recorded kind of all these pods in one night.
I don't know. You wear that shirt a lot lately.
Well, it's my favorite shirt, first of all. And I think this is only the second pod that I've worn this shirt on. And it's the third video because I did the Paolo like endorsement kind of like,
oh, you did do that
news flash, video that we did. So I had just gotten it in the mail and, I like it. For this shirt to be like as old as I am, the colors on this are ridiculous. So yeah, I love this shirt. I'll wear it. While
we're plugging t-shirts that we have been wearing on all these episodes, I'm wearing my brother, who is a graphic designer.
Dude, that boy doesn't need any more publicity than he is already getting. That dude is blowing up. He is doing just fine.
The shirt though, it says "Doubt Your Doubts," which if you're a Magic fan, I think maybe that'd be good for you. I like it in terms of and life, but doubt your doubts. You think the Magic are, you think they're not going to be very good. Doubt your doubts.
Love that.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about your guys' like overall perspective. I know we've talked about like the schedule maybe makes you a little bit more pessimistic. Like Kevin, where do you see the Magic ending up at this point? Oh, this is not going to make me happy. It's going to make me sad. I can tell.
I want to think. So the last play-in spot is 10. I want to think we will be 10 or better. Like, I want to think that.
You want to think, but what do you think?
I'm going to say 10th. I'm going to say 10th in the East.
So you still think the play-in, even though you feel more pessimistic now, you still think the play-in?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of heart in there versus head, but I really wanted a home play-in game. Like, when I was on Orlando Magic UK last week, I told them, I really want a home play-in. Can you imagine, like, a one-off game? Like, win or go home, Amway Center? That would be so fun.
Energy would be electric.
I think we'll be 10, so we'll be on the road and have to win twice. But that's what I'm going to say for now. But we could be better.
For weeks we've said just being in the play-in is a very successful season for the Magic, 100%. So I'm good with that.
Massive success. That would be great. Absolutely.
I said healthy 36 wins seems reasonable. I don't think 36 wins gets it done. I do think that is a realistic number still. So I'm going to say the Magic will be on the outside looking in 11 or 12 spot.
But how many wins then? If you're still at 36?
I'm going to say that with that caveat, obviously, as with any prediction, fully healthy, I say 36.
So before 3 p.m. today, Wednesday, did you feel like the Magic were going to make the play-in?
I was maybe a little bit more optimistic, but I also was still like I I still wouldn't be surprised if the Magic make the plan, and I would be surprised, honestly. Actually, I take that back. I take all that back.
For you, what
I
has
would be
changed
surprised.
with the schedule? Is it just like the rough start?
The rough start is really bad. Like, there is not a team that needs this less than the Magic. I wish you could start with a homestand. So yeah, I think that the schedule does play into maybe me being more surprised at the thought of the Magic making the play-in. But I'm still saying like realistically, my prediction has been 36 wins. At the end of the day, like RJ said, you play 41 at home, 41 on the road. You just got to get it done. So I'm going to say the 36 wins, and that's kind of where I'm staying. And I think I'm just going to stay there until we find out how many wins this team gets.
See, the start of the season, I think, would bother me a little bit more if like the Magic were just like getting blown out every single game, like down the stretch of last season when the season was very much over. But the way that the Magic responded all year long to tough losses, losing streaks, everything like that, and we're like competing every single night, I don't think that like a tough stretch is really going to break this team mentally the way that it could like another young team. I just think like the guys that we have in the locker room, the culture that we have like with the locker room, the coaching staff, I just think even if they get off to a rough start, they're not going to let that like ruin the entire season. I don't think this team, a young team getting off to a good start is a big deal, like is going to give any young team a lot of confidence. But I don't think a rough start for this young team in particular is going to make or break the season.
Yeah, I mean, I said that earlier, like that I think that if there's any team that can handle it, young team, it's them. But at the same time, I'm not like naive to the fact that that's still a rough first couple of weeks, and you just have to keep it together. And like I said, make it to that homestand, and then you play the champs first game of the homestand. So we'll see what they can do.
And Jordan Poole.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I just wanted to, if you don't mind, I wanted to turn the tide a little bit on the schedule, talk kind of bigger NBA picture, if you don't mind, really quick. I know we're coming up on an hour here.
Okay.
They announced this whole, I don't know if you guys saw the NBA Rivals Week, this whole new concept, at least new to the NBA. It's been around other sports for a while, but definitely some interesting matchups there. But it's kind of cool. It's like, I don't know how many, 11 nationally televised games in 5 days. Like, that's insane. That's going to be a lot of fun. Do you guys have any thoughts of that? I was really hoping like Orlando, Miami would be featured in there, but I guess we're not a big enough rival right now because we're not that good. But interesting lineup there. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I think it's a cool idea. You know what I mean? I want to get back to the point where we have legitimate rivalries. Like, for example, one of the games is Chicago and Charlotte, and, they have, like, the Ball brothers, which is kind of cool, but it's not really, like, a true, like, team rivalry. I know we hate the Heat, and we consider that a rivalry. A lot of Magic fans don't even consider that a rivalry, and I'm sure there are a lot of Heat fans that don't consider it a rivalry. The last 10 years, we've really been an afterthought, and they've been, very competitive the last 10 years. But I want to get back to the point where, like, there are teams that have, like, legit animosity. Like the Memphis Grizzlies and the Warriors play that week. Like they just had a playoff series, and we know that there is some like bad blood between those teams. So like stuff like that. I don't know how the league does that, but I think it's a good idea. I just want to see more legitimate rivalries in the NBA.
I think this feels like more so than rivalry week. It feels like drama week. Like,
that's good.
Yeah.
You've got like the MVP versus the runner-up. What would they say? They'd both say they deserved the MVP last year. You've got James Harden playing his former team that it didn't really end well at all for him. Like, you've got just drama, and that's fine. Don't get me wrong. Drama is what makes the NBA what it is. I think it is incredible. But yeah.
Am I missing something? Like, this is potentially be a really stupid question. Maybe I'm just completely missing something. Toronto Golden State.
They played in the finals a couple years ago. That's it.
That's like 3.5 years ago now.
Yeah. And I think like people say like Raptors fans were cheering when Kevin Durant got hurt, but it's not.
That's true. They did do that.
But it's not really a rivalry.
Yeah.
I think the NBA might just be trying to foster stuff. They're like, Toronto might be up and coming with who they've got, like guys like OG and Scotty Barnes, and whatever, but who knows? The NBA is always trying new stuff, and I appreciate it. I do. But we'll see.
And unless that game is in Toronto, it's very much it's all. I already think it's nothing. But if that game is in Toronto, I'm like, okay, maybe something. But if it's at home, I don't know if you know that off the top of your head. But yeah, it seems like I would say this is definitely better than like the nickname jersey games. But it feels like very gimmicky. You know,
It is.
yeah.
It is. Yeah, for sure.
All right. So the last thing, I know we're running super long on this one, but the last thing that I wanted to do, because I just like the start of the season like is important, but like if we look at last year, through the first 25 games, the Magic went 5-20. So that's like as bad of a start as you possibly can have. And I just find it hard to believe that although the schedule is tough to start the season, only winning 5 games. So I want to just go through like the first 25 games and see how many games do we think that we will win. And we'll try to like include as much context as possible in this. Game 1 at Detroit. Win or not a
going
win?
single. I'm gonna say loss.
Really? I think that's a win.
It's on the road. They've got also the hype of Jaden Ivey and Cade Cunningham and Sadiq Bey. I don't think that's they're pretty equal, and it's at Detroit, so it's hard for me. And if they've got the throwbacks, that might be a wrap.
My gosh.
I think we win one of the first 2. I definitely think that. And if I had to pick one, it's probably Detroit. So I'll go with you.
Okay.
I'll go win.
Atlanta. Win or loss?
If I said win Detroit, I say loss Atlanta. I think we go 1-1 between the 2.
I think it's a loss.
Okay. So I also think it's a loss. So 2 out of 3 think it's a loss. So we're starting 1-1. We'll just kind of go by majority here. Celtics at home. Loss?
Loss.
Yeah, I mean, probably.
Yeah, so we're at 2. Then we'll play the New York Knicks. That's our third in 4 games. They've got 2 nights off before that game.
No, that's Amway North. That's a dub.
Absolutely. We haven't lost there in years. Let's go.
That's a bing bong dub.
All right, so I think it's a loss. If you guys think it's a win, we'll count it as a win. So we're up to 3.
I guarantee it.
The New York Knicks are just terrible.
Terrible.
So we'll get a win in Amway North. All right.
That's right.
Cleveland. This is at Cleveland. We've got 1 day off. They've got 2 days off.
Loss.
Correct. At
Where
home
are
for
we?
the Charlotte Hornets.
Hold on. 1-1, 1-2, 2-2. We're 2-3. All right.
Oh, yeah, we've got. I'm just gonna count like on my end. I'm just counting the wins. How many we have when we get to 25, and then I'll do my simple math then.
Okay, great.
Sounds
So
great.
Charlotte Hornets at home. Both teams off the day before.
W.
That's a win. All right. So we've got 4 wins. Then the next game is in Dallas, but we're off the day before. It's Dallas's third game in 4 nights, and it's a back-to-back.
Win. I'm going win.
Nope.
Kevin thinks it's a loss.
Yep.
I'm torn. I'm going to say loss because I think the next one really should be a win. The next one is in OKC on national television. We're off the day before. OKC is off the previous 2 days.
Win.
He's eating a W. So we're at 5 so far. So
wait, 5?
Are we at 4 or are we at 5? So we've got Detroit,
1-1.
New York,
New York, Charlotte.
Okay, so we're at 4. So we're 4-4 through
4.
8. Okay?
Mm.
So if we get past 5, like we're off to a better start than we did last season. Then we start the homestand. Golden State. Loss.
Yep.
Sacramento. We're off 1 day before. They're off 2 days before.
W.
I'm going to say win.
Win. Okay, I think that's the first win we've all agreed on. Maybe Charlotte was. Then we've got Houston.
Another W.
Another
Paolo's
W.
wrecking this rookie class. I'm telling you.
Right.
He's not gonna lose at home to these guys.
Do you think Houston is a win, Luke?
I'll go win.
All right, so we're at 6. Then the next home game is Dallas. We just had a tough game against Dallas. It was down to the wire. We lost. Well, we're going to lose again at home to Dallas. Okay. Phoenix.
No,
Loss.
Okay, Charlotte. We're off the 2 previous days. They're off the day before. Charlotte at home.
There's been too many wins in these categories. I'm going to go loss.
I think we win.
I think we win. So we're at 7 as a group here. This road trip not brutal, but not a lot of rest either for the Magic. The next game, you're at Chicago.
We skipped Minnesota.
We did skip Minnesota. Sorry, I just counted that as a loss in my head. Apologies. What do you guys think?
That's a loss.
Yeah, that's a loss for sure.
It's a loss.
Yeah.
All right, Chicago.
Loss.
I think it's a loss.
Yeah, probably.
All right, so we've got the Pacers. So this is the third and fourth night and a back-to-back for both teams. I think it's a win.
We win one of those two, I think.
Okay, so we can split those. I'm good with that. Luke, do you think we win either of those games?
I'll go win for Pacers. One of them, yes.
Okay, so we split. So we're at 8. All right. So this one is interesting because we're playing Philadelphia, but we're off the 3 previous days, and it's going to be their third and 4 nights.
Yeah,
And we play them twice in a row.
We're splitting.
We're splitting. Okay, so we're at 9 here. So we're 9 and 10 currently. Okay, then we have the Brooklyn Nets. It's our third and 4 nights. It's a back-to-back, but it's their 5th game in 7 nights in Brooklyn.
We were 9-11 up to that point, but yes, I'm gonna go.
I can't do math. No one's surprised by this.
I'm gonna go Brooklyn.
Okay, so at this point we are 9 and 12. So Atlanta at home, it's both teams' 3rd game in 4 nights.
I'm gonna say that Trey and the boys are taking the night off, and it's a W.
And we lost the first game in Atlanta. Maybe we get this one back at home.
Oh, I hope so.
I would have said L, but if you say W, Jonathan.
I don't know. I'm very split on this. It could be. I don't think the Magic are going to be taking many 3 games and 4 nights off, but the Hawks, who are hoping to actually have a real playoff series and not just the play-in, I could see either DeJounte or Trae Young being off. It's a game against at Orlando. It's their 3rd and 4 nights. I could see one of their big guys taking the night off.
Okay.
All right. So we're at 10. So we're 10 and 12 right now. Cleveland on the road. Another loss. Right? Toronto, this feels maybe like a scheduled loss. We're in Toronto, 5 games in 7 nights, but it is their 3rd game in 4 nights, and they're on a back-to-back.
Toronto.
It's a loss. So the Milwaukee Bucks at home, it's both teams 3 games in 4 nights.
It's a L.
It's a loss against Milwaukee. All right, so what was that? Was that 10 and 15?
You were
10 and 15. I think it's 10 and 15.
Yeah, because it was 10 and 22, and then we said loss. So 10 and 15 after 25 games, sign me right up. I'm good with that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Do we?
Yeah.
Even if it's not 10 and 15, do we all agree that it's not going to be 5 and 25, or it shouldn't be 5 and 25?
5 and
20, but yeah.
5 and 20. Oh, what did it end up after 30 games? My math is atrocious. This is our 3rd podcast in a row. I haven't eaten in 9 hours. Let's see here.
Oh, cry.
Look, not all of us can just sleep 4 hours a night and not eat anything ever except cereal and operate the way that Kevin does. All right. Last season, we were 5 and 25 after 30 games.
That's good. I thought you were about to get really disrespectful there, so I'm really glad that went that way. Anyway.
No, we were 5 and 25 after 30 games last year. So we won't be 5 and 20. We won't be 5 and 25. So after 30 games, we should be doing okay. And that 25 game stretch, we're basically a little bit more than halfway that brutal stretch on the season.
That's fair.
After that, you've got it's Milwaukee, the Clippers, Toronto, Atlanta, Boston, Atlanta, and then you're out of that. So you could be 10 and 15, but then be, 12 and 20 at the end of that, roughly, which wouldn't be great.
I don't know, man. After going through that first 25, I just am less and less optimistic about this team's chances of playing.
Well, the thing is, they get off.
I still
to a rough
say
start,
36,
and then they don't really get a big stretch of winnable games, like we did last year.
I mean, that's not that far away from your projection, Luke. If they go 10 and what do we say?
10 and 15.
10 and 15, right? Multiply that. That's 25 games multiplied by 3, so that's 30 wins out of 75 games. Add a few more.
33, 34. Yeah, I know, but I still just don't think 36 gets it done.
Oh, no, 36 doesn't get in the play-in for sure, yeah.
No, I think you need 40. So, we'll see.
Going like through that like kind of 8-game stretch to end that really brutal stretch, you're not going to go 0-8. Like, what was the biggest like losing streak that we had last season? Was it 7?
About?
Oh no, we had a 9-game and an 8-game losing streak.
Yeah, because remember the Cole winner? It was like that was
yikes. Well, hopefully we don't. But yeah, I just think, get off to a little bit of a better start. You get into like January. I'm not saying this is like the 18-19 like season. I do think obviously we all believe that the ceiling on this team is a lot higher. But that team was, 11 games beneath 500, and you end the season 42 and 40. Crazier things have happened. The Magic will have more home games than away games the second half of the season. And especially like after the All-Star break, you definitely have more home games than away. I mean, we all have talked about, like, we just want to be in the conversation. We don't want the season to be over in March and April. So as long as you're, within, 4 or 5 games, going into the last month or so, and we have some hope, that's all that I'm looking for. But yeah, this was a fun day. This is definitely the most fun schedule release day that I've had. I think in this July-August stretch, this is going to be my new favorite day, apart from Luke's birthday, obviously.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah.
It's a great day.
I think so. Anything else, guys? I think we went through this in like as much detail as we possibly could have. Next year, we'll do it in chronological order. That'll be a lot better, I think. But yeah.
That'll be the quest for the LOB, so that'll be a way.
Yeah,
that'll be more exciting.
Yeah, we'll have to like have several hands to count our nationally televised games.
It's true.
That will be nice. Anything else, boys?
No, just be on the lookout for all these fun shows we got coming up.
Yep, be on the lookout. Obviously, you guys will listen to this on Thursday, hopefully, but Friday we've got RJ Hampton. Monday we've got Pierre, and then working on some stuff for next week. But we'll have to keep you guys updated, see if any fun stuff happens. So. But for Luke Sylvia, for Kevin Tucker, you guys have been listening to The Sixth Man Show. I'm Jonathan Osborne. I'm messing up this outro. We will catch you guys next time. See ya.
Thanks for listening to The Sixth Man Show. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes and Spotify to get new episodes downloaded directly to your phone. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to give us a 5-star rating and a review. It helps out the show a lot. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Sixth Man Show. We'll catch you guys next time. Go Magic!